All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into something I think pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
It's the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone. It's not every day
Right.
that we see two countries decide,
Yeah.
to team up and create like
Yeah.
a whole new economic powerhouse,
Mm-hmm.
this JSSEZ, as it's called,
Yeah.
you know, has the potential to really
Right.
be a game changer, especially I think for people, who are listening to this who kind of
Yeah.
keep a close eye on global economic trends.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this one is that it's not just about like boosting existing businesses.
Right.
Both prime ministers, Lee Hsien Loong
Uh-huh.
in Singapore and Anwar Ibrahim in Malaysia have both made it clear that this is about attracting, brand new investments from all over the world.
Yeah, it's not just a regional play.
No.
This is something that could have like ripple effects across global markets.
Yeah.
They literally like just signed this agreement, like very, very fresh.
Yep.
But the early signals suggest that they're both incredibly optimistic about what this could mean, for both countries, the region as a whole.
Right now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a special economic zone?
Yeah, what is an SEZ?
SEZ, in a nutshell, it's a specially designated area with its own set of economic rules, often designed to attract foreign investment and boost certain industries.
Right.
So you can think of it as a kind of microcosm of economic activity, a testing ground for new ideas and new collaborations.
And in this case, the JSSEZ is all about combining the strengths of both Singapore and Johor. So Singapore, with its reputation for innovation, high-tech industries, skilled workforce, brings a lot to the table.
Yeah.
But as anyone who's ever been to Singapore knows, space is
At a premium. Yeah.
So that's where Johor comes in, offering more land, potentially lower
Yeah,
operating costs.
Yeah, Prime Minister Lee actually gave a really interesting example of this. He was talking about how a company might want to undertake a large-scale project, but just find it difficult to do everything in Singapore simply because of space constraints.
Right.
So with the JSSEZ, that same company can tap into Singapore's resources and expertise while having the physical space that they need in Johor. So it's almost like getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's a really compelling case, I think, for businesses that are looking to expand in Southeast Asia. It's almost like they've created this like custom fit solution for companies who might have thought previously it was too difficult or too expensive to set up shop in the region.
Yeah, and to reiterate, Prime Minister Lee was very clear. This isn't just about existing businesses optimizing their operations. This is about attracting a whole new wave of investment from companies around the world who are looking for a competitive edge.
So it's a big play to become a global hub for innovation and investment.
Exactly.
Not just a regional powerhouse.
Right. But of course, no ambitious project comes without its challenges.
Right.
And Prime Minister Lee acknowledged this. He said, it's very early days, and success really hinges on a few crucial factors.
Like what are the things that need to happen for this to really take off?
Well, for starters, businesses need to actually embrace these initiatives.
Okay.
Right? It's all well and good having this zone on paper.
Yeah.
But if companies don't see the value in it, it's not going to achieve its full potential.
Right.
And then there's the issue of implementation.
Yeah.
Both governments need to be responsive to feedback. They need to ensure that regulations are clear and efficient, and they need to make it as easy as possible for businesses to operate across borders.
That makes sense. I mean, you need to create an environment where businesses feel confident and supported.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just go elsewhere.
Right.
Is that kind of what he meant when he talked about
Absolutely.
the need for smooth implementation?
Yeah, things like the flow of goods, people, and data across the border need to be seamless.
Yeah.
Investors want predictability, and they want efficiency. If they encounter too much red tape or logistical hurdles, they're going to look elsewhere. So the hard work really starts now.
Yeah. Now, while the economic aspects of this are clearly huge, it's interesting that Prime Minister Lee also highlighted the human side of things.
Yeah.
He talked about restarting these civil service games between the two countries.
Yeah.
It seems like he's really keen on fostering a strong relationship beyond just the economic partnership.
It's a very astute observation, actually. Strong economic ties are often built on a foundation of good interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the impact of, increased cultural exchange, the breaking down of barriers and fostering understanding between people from both sides. It could lead to much smoother collaboration.
Right.
On the economic front as well.
It's like laying the groundwork for a long-term mutually beneficial relationship.
I guess
it goes beyond just dollars and cents.
And speaking of the long term, both prime ministers have committed to meeting quarterly.
Wow.
To address some long-standing bilateral issues.
Like what kind of issues?
Things like water supply,
airspace
management,
wow,
even maritime boundaries.
So they're not shying away from the tough stuff.
No, they're not.
It sounds like they're really committed to creating a stable and positive environment for this partnership to flourish. This regular dialogue shows a dedication, I think, to finding solutions and tackling those issues that have perhaps been roadblocks in the past.
It's a proactive approach, and I think it sends a strong signal to investors that both countries are serious about making this work.
It's not just about the JSSEZ.
Right.
It's about a comprehensive and long-term commitment.
Exactly.
To collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this ambitious vision, a solid framework, it seems like, for cooperation, and a commitment to tackling the tough issues. But what does this all actually mean in practical terms? Like, what kinds of tangible outcomes can we expect to see?
Well, for starters, we can expect to see a wave of new projects and initiatives.
Okay.
Some of which are already in the works.
Okay.
One that's particularly exciting, I think, is the potential to import electricity from Sarawak to Singapore via undersea cables.
That's massive.
So imagine the impact of that.
Yeah.
A huge boost to renewable energy and greater energy security for the region.
And it seems like they're looking beyond just traditional industries.
Yeah.
They've mentioned collaborations in areas like carbon capture, sustainability, renewable energy. This isn't just about building factories.
Right.
It's about building like a more sustainable future.
Exactly. It's about positioning the region as a leader in the new green economy.
Right.
Which is a smart move, I think, given the increasing global focus on sustainability.
And of course, all of this is going to have a significant impact on businesses.
Yeah.
Both within the SEZ and in the surrounding areas. Right. And we've talked about attracting new investment, but what about the businesses that are already there?
Right.
How will the JSSEZ affect them?
Well, there are definitely both opportunities and challenges.
Right.
For some businesses, the JSSEZ could open up new markets, provide access to a larger pool of talent, and create opportunities for collaboration and innovation.
Right.
But for others, it could mean increased competition, pressure to adapt, and even the need to relocate or restructure their operations.
That makes sense. I mean, change always brings, I guess, both winners and losers.
Yeah.
And the JSACZ is going to be a major catalyst for change in the region. One specific concern I've heard from businesses in Singapore is about the impact of the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System, or the RTS link.
Ah, yes, the RTS link.
Yeah.
That's certainly a development worth watching closely. Yeah.
It's understandable why some businesses might be concerned about the potential for increased competition.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure.
What are the specific concerns, and why is the RTS link such a big deal?
So the RTS link is going to make it much faster and easier for people to travel between Johor Bahru and Singapore.
Okay.
This is great news, obviously, for commuters and tourists.
Right.
But it could pose a challenge.
Right.
For businesses in Singapore that rely on local customers.
Right.
So imagine you own a restaurant.
Right.
Or a retail store in Singapore.
Yeah.
If your customers can now easily hop over to Johor Bahru for potentially cheaper options, you're going to need to find ways to stay competitive.
So it's not just about competing with businesses within Singapore anymore.
Right.
It's about competing with businesses across the border.
Exactly.
That's a whole new ballgame.
It is. And this is where I think Prime Minister Lee's advice comes in.
Okay.
He basically said, to businesses, adapt and update. Adapt and update.
Yeah, he urged them to constantly evolve their offerings, to improve their efficiency, and think creatively about how to differentiate themselves from the competition.
So it's not just about lowering prices
to
match those in Johor Bahru.
It's about offering something special. something that makes you stand out from the crowd.
Right.
It could be anything from exceptional customer service to a unique atmosphere to offering products or services that you just can't find anywhere else.
Right.
The key is to identify your strengths and leverage them to create value for your customers.
This is such a powerful reminder, I think, that in a globally connected world, businesses can't afford to stand still.
Right.
They need to constantly evolve and innovate to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And it seems like the JSSEZ is going to be a catalyst for that kind of thinking in the region.
Absolutely. And this principle applies not just to businesses in Singapore facing the RTS link, but to businesses everywhere that are facing competition and disruption.
Right.
The JSSEZ is, I think, a microcosm of the challenges and opportunities that businesses are facing all over the world.
So for all of our listeners out there who are interested in business and economic trends, this JSSEZ is a case study worth watching. It's a fascinating experiment that could have far-reaching implications.
It highlights, I think, the increasing importance of regional collaboration, the need for agility and innovation in the face of change, and the power of understanding consumer behavior in a globally connected world.
Okay, so we've unpacked a lot, I think, about the potential benefits of the JSSEZ, but it's also important to acknowledge that there are bound to be challenges along the way. We've touched on some of the concerns of businesses in Singapore. But I think it's worth exploring those concerns in a bit more detail.
Yeah, I agree. It's important to understand both sides of the coin, the potential upsides and the potential downsides.
Right.
And in the case of the JSSEZ, I think one of the key challenges will be managing the impact on existing businesses and ensuring that they have the support they need to adapt and thrive in this new environment.
And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll take a closer look at the potential challenges facing businesses in both Singapore and Johor, and we'll explore some of the strategies that they can use to navigate this new landscape. Stay tuned.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone. As we kind of shift our focus to the potential challenges facing businesses, I think it's important to remember that change often brings disruption. And the JSSEZ is likely to be a major disruptor in the region.
We've talked about the potential benefits, but now it's time to kind of get real. But the potential downsides.
Absolutely.
For businesses that aren't prepared, this could be a real shock to the system.
Exactly. And one of the most immediate challenges, I think, for businesses in Singapore is going to be increased competition from businesses in Johor. With lower operating costs and potentially lower taxes, businesses in Johor are going to be able to offer goods and services at more competitive prices.
So for businesses in Singapore, it's not just about competing with each other anymore. It's about competing with this whole new set of players across the border.
Precisely. And this is especially true for businesses that are heavily reliant on price-sensitive customers. So think about things like retail, food and beverage, even some services. Consumers are savvy. They'll go where they can get the best value for their money.
So what can businesses in Singapore do to stay competitive in this new environment? Is it just a matter of lowering prices to match those in Johor?
Lowering prices is certainly one option, but it's not always the most sustainable or strategic approach. Remember Prime Minister Lee's advice, adapt and update.
Adapt and update. What does that look like in practice? What are some concrete examples of how businesses can adapt and update?
So one approach is to focus on quality and specialization. So instead of trying to compete on price alone, businesses in Singapore can focus on offering higher quality products or services that cater to a niche market. Think about things like artisanal goods, specialized services, or experiences that you just can't find elsewhere.
So it's about moving up the value chain. Focusing on what you do best and offering something truly unique. It's not about being the cheapest. It's about being the best.
Exactly. Another strategy is to leverage technology and innovation. Singapore has a very strong reputation for innovation. Businesses can use this to their advantage. This could involve, developing new products or services, adopting new technologies to improve efficiency, or even creating entirely new business models that leverage the unique opportunities presented by the JSSCZ.
So it's about using technology to create a competitive edge.
Right.
Not just to cut costs.
Precisely. And let's not forget about the importance of customer experience.
Yeah.
Businesses in Singapore can differentiate themselves by offering exceptional customer service,
Right.
creating a really welcoming and memorable atmosphere, and building strong relationships with their customers in a world where consumers have more choices than ever.
Right.
Customer loyalty is a valuable asset.
So it's not just about what you sell. It's about how you sell it.
Right.
It's about creating an experience that customers value and want to come back for.
Exactly. And finally, I think businesses in Singapore can also look for opportunities to collaborate with businesses in Johor. You know, the JSSEZ is all about creating a more integrated and interconnected economic region. And there are lots of opportunities for businesses on both sides of the border to work together, share resources, and leverage each other's strengths.
That's a really interesting point.
Right.
It's not just about competition. It's also about cooperation.
Right.
The JSSEZ could create opportunities for partnerships and joint ventures that benefit businesses in both countries.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key takeaway here. The JSSEZ is going to be a dynamic and evolving landscape. And businesses that are willing to adapt, innovate, and collaborate will be the ones that thrive in this new environment.
So for businesses in Singapore, the message is clear. Don't panic, but don't be complacent either. Embrace the change. Be proactive and think strategically about how to position yourself for success in this new era.
Now let's kind of shift our focus to businesses in Johor. While they might not be facing the same level of immediate competition as businesses in Singapore, they also have their own set of challenges to navigate.
What are some of the key challenges for businesses in Johor?
Well, one challenge is going to be the need to attract and retain skilled talent. You know, the JSSEZ is going to create this huge surge in demand for workers with specialized skills. And businesses in Johor are going to need to compete with businesses in Singapore for that talent. So this means, you know, offering competitive salaries and benefits, providing opportunities for professional development, and creating a work environment that is attractive to top talent.
So it's not just about offering lower costs. It's about offering like a compelling value proposition to employees.
Exactly. Another challenge, I think, for businesses in Johor is going to be the need to adapt to higher standards and expectations. You know, businesses in Singapore are known for their efficiency, their quality, and their customer service. And businesses in Johor are going to need to step up their game
if they want to compete.
So it's about raising the bar, improving quality, and delivering a better overall customer experience.
Precisely. And finally, I think businesses in Johor are also going to need to navigate the complexities of operating in a cross-border economic zone. So this means dealing with different regulations, customs procedures, and even cultural differences.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is.
What are some tips for businesses in Johor to kind of manage those complexities?
Well, one key tip, I think, is to seek out expert advice and support. You know, there are organizations and government agencies that can provide guidance on navigating the legal and regulatory aspects of operating in the JSSEZ. It's also important to build strong relationships with businesses and partners in Singapore.
It's about doing your homework, getting the right advice, and building the right connections.
Exactly. And remember, the JSSEZ is a work in progress. Both governments are committed to making it a success.
And they are open to feedback from businesses.
So
if you're a business in Johor, don't be afraid to speak up. Share your concerns and offer your suggestions.
That's a great point. I mean, this is a collaborative effort. And everyone has a role to play in making it work.
Now, while we focused on the challenges facing businesses in both Singapore and Johor, it's important to remember that the JSSEZ is also an incredible opportunity for businesses that are prepared to adapt, innovate, and collaborate. The potential rewards are significant.
Absolutely. This is a chance to be a part of something truly transformative.
A
new economic powerhouse that could reshape the region and beyond. But as we've discussed, it's not a guaranteed win. Success is going to require careful planning, strategic thinking, and a willingness to embrace change.
And that brings us, I think, to another crucial aspect of the JSSEZ.
Okay.
Its impact on the workforce.
Right.
After all, businesses are only as good as the people they employ.
Right. We can't forget about the human element in all of this.
Absolutely.
The JSSEZ is going to create a lot of new jobs.
Yeah.
But it's also going to disrupt existing ones.
Exactly. So in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the potential impact on workers.
Okay.
In both Singapore and Johor.
Okay.
From the creation of new opportunities to the need for upskilling and retraining.
It's going to be a fascinating look, I think, at the human side of this massive economic project.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone. So we've talked about the economic potential, the challenges for businesses, and now it's time to kind of turn our attention to the people who will be most affected by this project, the workers.
I think it's easy to get caught up in the big picture, you know, the grand vision of economic growth and regional integration.
Right.
But we can't forget that the JSSEZ will have a very real impact on the lives of ordinary people.
Right. We're talking about, thousands, potentially millions of people whose jobs, livelihoods, and futures are going to be shaped by this project.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the good news.
Yeah.
The JSSEZ is expected to create a lot of new jobs. What kinds of jobs are we talking about? And who is likely to benefit the most?
Well, the JSSEZ is being designed to attract a wide range of industries.
Okay.
From high-tech manufacturing and research and development to logistics, tourism, even green technologies.
Wow.
So the job opportunities are going to be equally diverse.
So it's not just factory workers, it's engineers, scientists, technicians, managers, you name it.
Exactly.
It sounds like there's going to be something for everyone.
And one of the key target groups is young people.
Okay.
Particularly those with specialized skills in areas like engineering, technology, and finance.
Okay.
The JSSEZ is being positioned as a hub for innovation and high-growth industries, which are exactly the kinds of sectors that young people are looking to work in.
It's almost like they're creating like a whole new ecosystem of opportunity for the next generation, a place where they can build their careers and contribute to something truly cutting edge.
And that's a really powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially in a region where, young people are often looking for opportunities abroad.
Right.
The JSSEZ has the potential to reverse that trend and attract young talent back to the region.
That would be a huge win, not just for Singapore and Malaysia, but for the entire region. But of course, not everyone is going to benefit equally from these new job opportunities.
Right.
What about workers who might not have those in-demand skills? Are they going to be left behind?
That's a very valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's something that both governments are aware of.
Oh, yeah?
We've talked about the importance of investing in education and training programs to equip workers with the skills they need to succeed in this new economy.
So it's not just about creating jobs.
Right.
It's about preparing the workforce for those jobs, making sure that everyone has a chance to participate and benefit.
And this includes things like upskilling and retraining programs for workers who might be displaced from their current jobs.
Right.
This transition to a more high-tech and knowledge-based economy is going to require a lot of adaptation. And it's important that workers have the support they need to make that transition.
So a lot of focus on education and training.
Yeah.
But what about the other aspects of work?
Right.
Like wages and working conditions. Are workers in Johor going to be paid the same as workers in Singapore for doing the same jobs?
That's a very complex issue.
Yeah.
And it's something that's still being worked out.
Right.
There is a wage gap between Singapore and Malaysia, and it's unlikely that the JSSEZ will completely eliminate that gap overnight. But the goal is to create a more level playing field over time to ensure that workers are paid fairly based on their skills and experience, regardless of which side of the border they work on.
So it's about moving towards greater wage parity.
Right.
Not just creating like a low-wage haven for businesses.
Exactly. And it's not just about wages. It's about creating a work environment that is safe, fair, and respectful for all workers. Both governments have talked about the importance of upholding labor standards and ensuring that workers' rights are protected.
That's a crucial point. I think economic development shouldn't come at the expense of workers' rights. It's about creating a win-win situation for both businesses and workers.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key takeaway here.
Yeah.
The JSSEZ has the potential to create a lot of good jobs
Mm.
and improve the lives of many people in the region.
Right.
But it's important that this is done in a way that is equitable and sustainable and benefits everyone, not just a select few.
And that's going to require careful planning, ongoing dialogue between governments, businesses, and workers, and a commitment to putting people at the heart of this project.
Precisely. The success of the JSSEZ won't just be measured by economic indicators, but by its impact on the lives of ordinary people. And ultimately, that's what matters most.
Well, it's been a fascinating journey exploring the intricacies of the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone.
Yeah.
From its potential to reshape global trade to its impact on local businesses and workers. The JSSEZ is a story that's still being written.
It's an ambitious project with the potential to create a brighter future for the region, but it also comes with challenges and uncertainties.
Right.
The key will be to navigate those challenges thoughtfully and collaboratively, ensuring that the benefits of this project are shared widely and sustainably.
Absolutely. We'll be watching this story unfold with great interest in the years to come. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic that's shaping our world. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.